My name is ANGELIKA JAKIELA, and I'm a serious victim of ECT. I believe that ECT, or as it is also known as electroconvulsive therapy, is not therapy. It is not therapeutic and is not beneficial to any human mental, brain, or physical health at all. It is not a cure. In fact, it is very dangerous in many ways to human life and should not be prescribed to any human alive, especially not to children and old people. It is not beneficial to anyone who is pregnant in any way. It is not beneficial to anyone who has depression. It is not beneficial to anyone who is catatonic. Anyone who a doctor or psychiatrist stated on their file that they have schizophrenia or psychosis, and the psychiatrist and their doctor told them that they were going to prescribe ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, to them, has to ask their doctor or psychiatrist what the specific symptoms of the mental health disorder that they are prescribing the ECT for. Schizophrenia is a general term. It doesn't have any specific brain disorder, mental health side effects stated associated with the term. Schizophrenia, as I stated, is a general term with no specific mental health disorder stated, specifically any part of the brain that needs to be treated in any way. Psychosis, as well, is a general term and has no specific symptoms mentioned associated with the term. No specific brain disorder mentioned associated with the term. So if you have a doctor or psychiatrist that are prescribing you ECT or electroconvulsive therapy and state that you are, or you on your file that you have schizophrenia, psychosis, mania, then tell them that you, and if you don't have any specific symptoms, then avoid these doctors and psychiatrists and don't take the ECT prescription. Avoid it at all costs. These are doctors and psychiatrists that are medically negligent staff, medically incompetent, and are out to have a patient to make a paycheck. It is disheartening, but it does exist, these heartless humans. And unfortunately, they all work with the ECT clinics, most well known in the world. Angelika JAKIELA, myself, am a serious victim of ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, wrongly prescribed to me illegally, by many medically negligent doctors and psychiatrists that are well known in CAMH in Toronto, Canada, and Mount Sinai Hospital. I didn't need the procedure at all. ANGELIKA JAKIELA was illegally given this, which is not allowed by law. It is not allowed to be given ECT prescribed to a human against their human free will of choice. When a human chooses and knows that they do not have a mental health disorder to treat that will require ECT or electroconvulsive therapy, they cannot be given ECT prescribed and cannot be forced to go through the procedure. But unfortunately, I was over 10 times a year. I know what the procedure entails, and I didn't need to go through it at all. ANGELIKA JAKIELA studied life sciences and am educated in medical terminology, and I lived through what the side effects are and the procedure of ECT or electroconvulsive therapy. I'm against the term entirely because it's not therapy, and I don't know who made this term and why they still have it in the world. Therapy pertains to some assisting rather human health, mental, brain, physical health, to be therapeutic to human health. But electroconvulsive therapy is not therapy in any way to any human. In my situation, it caused me bodily harm in many ways of the brain and physical health, emotionally straining, and I was given it illegally I did not need. I suffered before, during, after the procedure and had serious memory damage result of it and physical health harmed. Over 10 times a year. It was not allowed to be given to me one time, and I had no mental health disorder to treat, so it damaged my brain more. Unfortunately, there are millions of people over the past 100 years that have wrongly been prescribed ECT, and most illegally, and some don't even know. I was, as I stated, educated in life science degree half from the university, but ANGELIKA even fought for my own life with this knowledge, but other humans are not educated in medical terms, are still online, unfortunately, misinformed about ECT. There are basic information stated on all websites of the ECT main clinics and major websites of definitions of ECT. But unfortunately, they leave out the serious harmful side effects and the details of what a human goes through before, during, and after the ECT procedure on the brain. That is not beneficial to any human alive. It is not allowed by my beliefs to be approved by the FDA and was never allowed. They know, but they illegally, wrongly, are approving this for over 100 years and has to be stopped. There are medically negligent staff still working, and I didn't have money for a medical negligence lawyer to get myself out of this situation. They wrongly put me on forms so they would have a patient to see. They stated simply, "How's your mood?" I told them I don't have any mental health disorder. They put me on a form stating schizophrenia which is a general term, not a real mental health disorder. There are no real mental health symptoms that I had. There are none that they told me I had, and even put the stated catatonic. I clearly am not and was never catatonic. I never had any brain disorder. In fact, I actually had a blood clot and on blood thinners, and they endangered my life to stop these and put me through a dangerous procedure on the brain that damaged my memory and physical health over 10 times a year. These humans, that's why I'm making this video, and everyone who hears this. And unfortunately, there are millions, 100 clinics of ECT in the world, misinforming patients with approximately 10 staff medically negligent working there. It's always smiling. They never look a patient in the eye. There's some videos online too, which have to be taken down. These are heartless humans that swore an oath to God that their paycheck, medical doctors and psychiatrists, nurses, physiologists work there, registered nurses, practical nurses. There's anesthesiologists, neurobiologists, specialists, brain specialists, the main psychiatrists that prescribe these. And other medical staff go along with this, the secretaries. Each clinic has approximately 10 of these staff that go along with this. Most humans are given illegally or misinformed, so they have patients' clients. They make their hundreds of thousands to million a year, and humans, children, old people, people with depression, catatonic, stated that they have schizophrenia, which is not even a real mental health disorder. Keep in mind, psychosis is not a real mental health disorder. These are general terms. They wrongly state online, which is beyond wrong, for humans to go when they can have no antipsychotics rather help any human for a certain mental disorder are prescribed ECT. This is wrong. This is misleading to patients. This cannot go on. This is not allowable. Humans that are pregnant cannot go through ECT. It would endanger the life of the human and an unborn infant in severe ways. And unfortunately, online, these websites still state that is, if a human cannot take some antipsychotics for a certain mental health concern, they could go through ECT while pregnant. This is misleading and beyond wrong. Has to be gotten rid off from those ECT clinics, online websites, and to stop misinforming people and endangering human lives. Anyone who hears this and has a credible job, please help correct online this once and for all. Contact the FDA and tell them to disapprove ECT and get rid of it entirely, as it's supposed to be done for over 100 years. As I stated, most people, and I've seen the truth, is recorded on security video. ANGELIKA have my medical patient records to prove it. I'm about to state what goes on for a human that is prescribed ECT. As I stated, keep in mind, a human cannot go through ECT unless they give verbal consent or underwritten by their human free will of choice when they choose, assess properly if the ECT is proper for them, and they choose and give consent to go through ECT. Electroconvulsive therapy. It cannot be given to a human being that doesn't choose to go through it, because it is very harmful to human brain and physical health. If it is given to a human against freedom of choice, it is considered human torture. It is not justified by God. It is morally wrong to be which torture is defined as bodily harm of the brain, physical health, against human freedom of choice. It is illegal, unethical, and morally wrong to force a human to go through ECT against their human freedom of choice, given by God not to go through it. I was given ECT, wrongly prescribed, and I don't even need, and endangered my life as I stated when I was on blood thinners and didn't need to have them stopped. And then put through a dangerous brain procedure. I couldn't have children because of the side effects. I couldn't have a job. I couldn't do my studies after I studied and further study and do my medical lab research job because it severely damaged my brain and memory and physical health over 10 times a year. And keep in mind, medical negligence lawyers are not free, are very expensive, and it's best to avoid all medically negligent doctors, psychiatrists. As soon as you know of one, walk away, get a different medical opinion. If a doctor is already prescribing you something for ECT, for schizophrenia, for psychosis, mania, for depression, catatonic, obviously, and they're pregnant, and they're prescribing you ECT, walk away. Do not go to ECT for any reason. These are medically negligent staff. They don't get away under God, but get away mostly because patients don't have medical money, rather for medically negligent doctors and psychiatrists a way to sue them with medical negligence lawyers. The court fees alone are very expensive, and the legal fees obviously expensive, not covered by legal aid in Ontario. And then unfortunately, only filing complaints is the option against these staff. But human gets no money for it if their life is wronged. Their brain, mental, physical health, and don't have enough disability, be warned in Ontario, ODSP is almost nothing, and a human can afford to live if their brain damaged because of ECT. And live on the street is sub-zero temperatures most of the year. Canada is cold in Ontario. This goes on in the world as well, in other countries. In Canada, the States, Australia mainly, and other countries, the ECT is still prescribed, mostly illegally. A lot of humans don't even know. They are not educated in medical matters. This is beyond wrong, illegal human torture. While they make a paycheck, many millions of dollars a year, the staff, and smile, essentially, as I stated, say how your mood, and force a human to go through a dangerous brain procedure. And they know they're morally doing wrong and never look human patient in the eye. Then they prescribe the next session. Either some, unfortunately online, I don't know if this is true, but I don't believe this is right. This cannot be done to humans every week. There's bilateral ECT, where it is two electrodes taped to both sides of the head and both sides of the brain have electrical current pass through them, which happened to me. But these humans have prescribed once a week, every week. This is beyond wrong. This is illegal human torture in many ways. Fined by imprisonment of the ones that torture the human, sign the prescriptions, all psychiatrists. Most are psychiatrists, some medical doctors, other brain specialists, department heads of ECT. Well known, especially in my situation in CAMH. It is a center for addiction and mental health, and they disrespected the lives of many people I've seen, children included. Old people signed prescriptions. Heartless human beings. They endangered and wronged the lives of innocent children, old people that clearly didn't have to be there, misinformed them, so they have clients, patients, always smiling in their direction while the humans crying, fear for their life, and don't want to go through procedures that they don't need. Then see them the next time show up with brain damage and had to go through another procedure every 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, 4 weeks. If a patient pushed the issue to push the sessions us in more weeks apart. If not, they were wrongly prescribed every 1 or 2 weeks and continued for years. ECT is not a cure. ANGELIKA, JAKIELA, I'm an innocent woman. A patient lost 20 years of life, wrongly prescribed other antipsychotics, a victim of serious medical negligence, then ECT over 10 times a year, and forced illegally to go through. I didn't need it all. I have no home and no money and no children for over 2 decades because of these medically negligent staff. I don't want this to happen to anyone else. So please, anyone who knows anyone, I'm mentioning this information, so please share this to all to get rid of every ECT clinic in the world. Stop the illegal human torture. Stop those medically negligent staff that know it's their job to help human brain and health and psychiatrists, but are not doing, and that under God they do truth, swear an oath to God to help human brain health. They cannot make their paycheck if they're gonna harm a human life and prescribe ECT, especially against human free will of choice doesn't choose to go through procedure. But there are over hundreds working for over 100 years. And as I stated, each ECT clinic has over 10 staff going along with it of all medical different staff type of fields working there each session, every day, illegally harming patients, misinforming them, with no human to live through, and most illegally put on forms to stay on mental wards while brain damage with nothing to do and no nutritious food to recover and to prepare properly for this dangerous, very dangerous, harmful brain procedure. It is obviously not therapy. As I stated, make sure the doctor or psychiatrist tells you what exact mental health disorder they are prescribing ECT for. If they don't tell you, walk away. File a complaint to the governing college that employs them. They cannot get away. Most are doing illegal human trials and research on humans and write medically negligent misinformation type journals published in PubMed as well, psychiatric well-known medical journals, stating that they did trials on a human by free will of choice, but they did not. It was illegal. They harmed patients and used the results on medical journals, well-known and psychiatric journals. These clinics, keep in mind, they open early in the morning. Patients show up in these ECT clinics outside, and in Canada, the States especially, it's cold. A human has to fast for approximately 8 hours before given general anesthesia. In this situation, people are already very tired and have to get up early in the morning to travel there when not an inpatient. These humans are already very tired past exhaustion, barely get enough sleep through the night, and have to get up early in the morning when it's coldest. The temperatures of human is not normal temperatures, and humans are already starving because they had to fast, with not enough water in the veins, with not enough electrolytes, not enough proteins, amino acids enough for proper muscle function and heart, not enough for the brain, for enough amino acids to make the neurotransmitters in the brain, especially serotonin, dopamine. A human going through this procedure has to be well fed. But for purposes of general anesthesia before, a human is essentially dehydrated for 8 hours fasting. Is beyond exhaustion, shows up and wait outside freezing to death until the staff arrive. Humans wait outside and are not given a place to wait indoors. It is first come, first serve who comes and who chooses to go through procedure, so people show up hours in advance, early in the morning before the sun comes up, so they don't have to wait there all day in line before the brain is electrocuted. When they're knocked out cold first, knocked unconscious. Children, old people, they were there, I was there. As illegal torture in itself. Most uneducated, they're against freedom of choice on forms. Then the staff show up from the ECT clinic smiling and open the doors at a certain time. All well dressed, well fed, well rested, slept. After the patients wait there outside, freezing to death for over an hour. Then they let them indoors, could show up early and let them in to sit in the building. Then there was patients wait indoors in a line with no seating in cold temperatures. While the staff goes in and gets the clinic ready, the patients are let in but not let into the seating waiting area. They wait standing for approximately an hour. Too tired to stand. Strained on the heart, hungry, burning calories to stand, one could be let indoors to sit, but are not. The body is shivering, the nervous system and brain strained. This is not respect of human life in any way. Then the humans sit there when led into this clinic seating area. See already, crying, the other humans there. About to have their brain, after knocked out conscious, with a vein is punctured with VEINEPUNCTURE. Children, old people clearly don't have to be there and are not allowed by me. As my choice, I would not allow them to go through ECT. They have no reason to, and they're too young or too old. These humans sit there, crying, seeing the other people there. They tell the staff they do not need to go through the procedure. They stay and they stayed. I don't feel well, some of them, and would like to go home and reschedule. The staff says you cannot. The psychiatrist or doctor, they state already, filed your prescription for ECT. This is your appointment, and you cannot leave. This is illegal, but they did it to me and the other people that keep showing up there every day, forced illegally to go there. And this is Toronto, the most well-known cities in the world, Ontario, Canada. This goes on in the States, in Australia that I know of, and other cities well-known in the world. It has to be stopped. All these humans, as I stated, have a vein punctured when they're too tired. Haven't obviously slept enough. No human can sleep only maybe a few hours before they have to travel and get up early. Even in a mental health ward, I was on blood thinners, and they couldn't stop these, would endanger my life, but wrongly filed a prescription for ECT I didn't need. Even the staff put me there too weak to sit, overdrawn blood from blood testing frequently. They even put a human me in a wheelchair and took me there smiling while I clearly didn't have enough blood in veins and didn't need to be there and stopped my blood thinners, endangered my life of clotting, and then put me through a dangerous brain procedure with a fasting for approximately 8 hours, with me too weak to sit. Sitting in the cold in a medical room waiting area for approximately an hour, when there's no other patients there. Could have clearly been admitted in proper timing and done the procedure, or let go as I choose when I didn't choose to be there. The humans that work there are disrespectful of human life, human health, brain health, physical health. They are humans that go along with medically negligent doctors, the psychiatrists that sign these, and the board members, which are also medical doctors. And their psychiatrists, keep in mind, that are running these ECT clinics. They also are assessing the patients. These have to be stopped. These humans have to be put in prison. They are humans that sign papers for illegal human torture. These are bodily harm, that means against free of choice. Human doesn't choose their brain harm, physical health, to go through this before procedure and fasting, venipuncture, damages a human vein, is an open wound. Most people strain their heart or fear for their life. They don't want an open wound. They don't want, no one likes needles. I went through the anesthesiologist, don't even put the vein in the vein, rather the needle, right? And then the general anesthesia is put in a human vein. Then the human has two electrical wires, electrodes taped to the side of the head for bilateral ECT. That means two sides. Two sides of the brain are going to be having an electrical current pass through it to cause a seizure. Into a human brain, after a human fasted for approximately 8 hours with no nutrients, no glucose to the brain, to physicality, not enough water in the blood. In the bloodstream, not enough to flow to the heart and brain. With not enough electrolytes into the brain and nervous system. The nervous system requires a lot of electrolytes to function properly. When a human is put through fasting for a lot of hours, and during especially night, and human have to get up in the morning for this procedure, a human is past exhaustion already, and in that in itself, and at cold temperatures, a human physical health rather is very strained. A human is shivering, burning calories when they don't have any calories to burn because they couldn't internalize any carbohydrates to have any glucose for the proper health of the heart and physicality to shiver. For the brain to think, needs glucose, especially humans with a mental health disorder. And even mine, I didn't have one. A human needs glucose to function. Needs the brain enough glucose to think. Amino acids from different sources of food, proteins, broken down to amino acids. For the basic neurotransmitters in the brain, affect the physicality to have enough of them in itself. When a human is fasting for 8 hours, they don't have these proteins, the amino acids enough to the brain. A human is already suffering in that way in itself, and therefore obviously cannot go through a dangerous brain procedure. This is illegal human torture. Then a human, obviously hungry, and then has to be fear for their life sitting there and already strained emotionally seeing other people there after freezing outside for an hour, waiting for an hour standing there early in the morning before sitting down in the clinic waiting area, seeing other humans about to have their brains electrocuted, essentially electrical current pass through the brains and affects the physicality as well. Humans have put a mouth guard in the teeth in the mouth. Before the procedure starts, they are hooked up for a monitoring of their heart and brain. I'm educated in medical terms and know what the medical staff are doing. Others humans clearly do not, and I barely made it through myself. I, a human, know what venipuncture is. Other humans don't want to hear about needles. And I had to inform the staff, anesthesiologists, to putting it wrong in my veins when I was about knocked out cold, put unconscious by general anesthesia. Then a human has an oxygen mask placed on the mouth. Is oxygen flow in the mask. ANGELIKA, right before I was knocked out, and 2 electrical wires, a human feared for my life. I don't know if I'm gonna die or not. I know, obviously, and I know what the procedure is about and what general anesthesia does. But I fear for life, being knocked out cold. No human wants to live through this one time. To be knocked out cold unconscious. Being put to sleep. Don't know if they're gonna wake up with a severe brain damage, and obviously no, they're awaiting have a memory severe damage mainly. Hungry with not enough nutrients, a human is put to sleep, hears the beeping sounds of medical devices there in the room, ECT procedure room. Heart scans, brain scans, neurospecialists, psychiatrists, doctors, anesthesiologists, physiologists, nursing staff, other brain specialists, all standing there smiling. All know they're morally doing wrong in my situation and other humans. They state and have the nerve to do, asking how's your mood. A human fears for their life and doesn't have obviously any mood or brain disorder, such as myself and mostly all those humans that I've seen there. That I've talked to clearly didn't have to go through ECT. And then a human fears for their life and are knocked out cold, unconscious is the terminology. The 2 wires are taped to the side of the head and a human's brain is electrocuted. Rather, electrical current pass through and affects the physicality, which affects the damages the human brain, causes a seizure, which no human wants to have ever in one time in their life. And negatively damages many parts of the human memory and other parts of the brain. And a human body twitches as electrical current pass through and is done and twitches. Muscles affected and the nervous system after human fasting. Keep in mind, ECT clinics don't state these details, but this is what I lived through. It's true. 8 hours of fasting, as I stated, with no glucose enough to the brain, dehydrated, not enough to put the general anesthesia to put in the vein, blood flowing in the veins, not enough to the heart and brain. Not enough amino acids in the brain to make enough dopamine, serotonin, main neurotransmitters, and other functions that supply the different parts of the brain. Needed different, obviously, amino acids from meat, different nuts, and different different types of food. Clearly couldn't have these basic ones even for 8 hours. And human past exhaustion in the morning, falling asleep and couldn't be there, right? Be in bed, resting warm and healthier and safer that way. is knocked out cold, and when knocked out cold, they have their brain with electrical current passed to the brain, which already has not enough blood flow and water in it due to fasting, not enough electrolytes, sodium, chloride, main ones, not enough potassium in the heart to affect the brain properly. The heart rate is already too low, but strained, and humans suffering almost before they put to sleep. Essentially, a saying like humans know, suffer heart attack and die, but don't die. Fear for the life. Heart rate goes up with not enough potassium for it to beat or glucose. Not enough blood flowing to the heart. Physicality in a room that's obviously too cold below normal human temperatures. And our body's already temperature skin is not warm enough. And a human, as I stated, has a mouth guard in the mouth in case of clenching of teeth while they're knocked out cold and the electrical current passed to the brain. And a human is essentially electrocuted alive. And I'm a woman, I never had children, and because of side effects of these. This clearly, as I stated, cannot be given to a woman that's pregnant. A human that has depression obviously is not allowed to be gone through this procedure ECT. A human obviously that is misdiagnosed with schizophrenia or psychosis stated or mania, which are general terms, doesn't have to and cannot go through ECT because it's not even a real mental brain disorder stated. A specific part of the brain that has a potential mental problem associated with or symptoms are not clearly stated. These are general terms. A human, as I stated, keep in mind that goes through ECT that doesn't need it at all is severely damaged, have brain more. A human that is, as myself, was misdiagnosed with catatonic. Obviously, a human that is catatonic, which beyond is most humans are not in any way catatonic. I would change this term in itself. A human that is catatonic clearly cannot go through ECT. They cannot fast and then go and put under general anesthesia, be knocked out unconscious, and have their brain electrocuted. This is not therapeutic to anyone. A human that is catatonic clearly cannot go through ECT. There are many other mental health disorders. Well, these are the main ones that I know of, and clearly most are general terms, and these cannot be given to children. They are not old enough. There is no human alive right in the mind, medically competent doctor that would prescribe ECT to a child for any reason. Psychiatrists as well, and to old people. Old people clearly are too old. There's no way that their physicality and brain can handle being knocked out cold after 8 hours of fasting. Their physicality and metabolism is already lower. They're too old. The heart cannot handle it, and brain. There is no reason for any child or old person to go through ECT ever. There is no reason for any human on earth to go through ECT for any reason at all. This causes more bodily harm than any good at all. I, a human, and a woman, was knocked unconscious, brain electrocuted, harmed alive, with not enough nutrients for 8 hours. Humans have other side effects because they're hungry, shivering, cold. Some have nausea. Other humans have different health concerns, obviously have to consider that, allergies. And then the worst part is when a human, if they do wake up, and I was told them how to, when I was already being knocked unconscious, they put the breathing mask on wrong. Almost suffocated me, put it too tightly on my face. And these are staff trained have to do this and care for patient health. If I didn't tell them this, and I barely could because I was already being knocked unconscious, and I clearly can't speak when I'm unconscious. They put the mask on the face too tight and almost suffocate me alive. Then I would have not enough oxygen to the brain and physicality and have more brain severe damage, while the electrical current was passed to the brain physicality. And I could have had nervous system, severe muscle, physicality, brain damage for life. And then when I woke up, it is the worst thing for any human alive. It is beyond wrong that ACT clinics do this to human. They wake up a human in a different room. When their brain, especially their memory, is severely damaged, many parts of the brain, recent memory, family parts, if they remember their family members, can barely remember the names. Loved ones, many hours and wake up starving, ill from given general anesthesia and fasting for 8 hours. When a brain electrical current was passed, have a seizure. Some have bilateral ECT on both sides of the brain. Affected with not enough, as I stated, electrolytes, not enough water, blood flow to the heart, physicality, and brain, nervous system, has not enough sodium chloride to function, not enough amino acids from not enough proteins while fasting, and to the brain, which it is stated that this ECT is the purpose to help while the electrical current is passed through the brain, induce a seizure to help the neurotransmitters be in the brain. This doesn't help any neurotransmitters or any chemical processes in the brain. When a human is fasting required to 8 hours with no nutrients and doesn't have enough dopamine made there, serotonin to begin with, because the human has not enough electrolytes and then not enough water and blood flowing to the heart, to the brain in the first place. Not enough glucose, what the brain needs to function in physicality, heart and muscles, all of it. A human is dehydrated with not enough nutrients essential. What the human actually needs is a proper diet, counseling, if they had a mental health concern only, and to have exercise properly given, a proper meal plan, proper vitamin supplements as needed, if needed, to help the brain. Dopamine imbalance is clearly the body regulates this itself, can be over time replenished by proper nutrients, exercise. The physicality, the brain regulates this itself. It is never any ECT beneficial to any human alive. This severely damages the brain and memory, and a lot of people, through stories, have damaged memory for life and cannot remember anything. Recent memory, they studied university, college, lost all. They cannot remember it. Second million day and nights, they cannot remember even certain loved ones' names. Other humans affected, their loved ones, children, they cannot remember the names, who they are. There is no risk worth taking to have memory severe brain damage with ECT. And physical health damage, and other medically negligent staff not paying attention. If they put a mask on too wrong, a human could be severely damaged in coma and have a nervous system damage. There are other side effects, really harmful ones that damage the brain and physical health, especially if a human is not healthy enough to go through the procedure in the first place. A human that is pregnant obviously cannot go through a dangerous procedure like this, fasting for hours in the cold, and then have not enough nutrients while they have an infant in the womb. Electrocute the brain and then have an electrical physicality shaking while with infant in womb. The humans that have these on the websites, on the main clinical sites, then they have to take it down. They cannot misinform rather any human alive about this, a pregnant woman. ECT is clearly not allowable for any human to go through. This is my opinion. I am a human that lost and I studied life sciences 4 years. Know all the fields: medical, neurobiology, molecular and cellular biology, human nutrition, all years courses, genetics, all of it, anatomy, human ones, and animal ones, religious side, I know the ethics of this, and I lost all brain damage illegally done to me. Physical health, as I stated, keep away from CAMH. They have over 100 medically negligent staff working there for over 20 years. Mental health wards, illegally pushing pills and ECT. And they're still working there because no human has money for medical negligence, rather lawyers to sue them for punitive damages as well. So I have money to live and put them in prison. I filed complaints, what I can only do with the colleges, but they don't give any money for a victim that they hire these medically negligent staff, mostly a psychiatrist. They don't even know English. I read the journals. I know medical terminology. What they did based the research is illegal, misinformed, and work wrongly affiliated with universities as professors, clinical head scientists, and researchers, making the extra $1 million while they live in luxury and ask a patient once every week or two when they prescribe ECT how's their mood, and wrongly stood there smiling while a human was knocked out cold with no nutrients and woke up in different room, fear for the life, couldn't remember anything, dehydrated, hungry, and had to live. And brain damage, some for life, many hours before some even memory comes back, in some cases, some never. And a human loses a driver's license, they lose a family life, they cannot have children. Men, women, obviously, side effects, brain damage, cannot work, disabled, and disability in Ontario is no money. $200 to $1,000 for human to live for a whole month, with not enough for a hotel for one night, and food. Would have to live for 30 days and nights in a whole month given this disability. While the doctors medically negligent hired by these head prime ministers and boards under them and colleges, but then look into them to make sure they didn't make the paycheck and hire proper medical staff and psychiatrists that didn't prescribe ECT. ANGELIKA, JAKIELA, telling everyone ECT is illegal human torture, especially when they don't choose to go through it and don't consent, then make sure no one makes you go through it. File complaints as much as you can. Legal rights advisors, call as many as needed. Get out of the situation. Avoid it at all costs in first place. If a doctor or psychiatrist, they smile, but don't trust all of them. There are most doctors that care will clearly write in the mind, never prescribe ECT. Never prescribe any electroconvulsive therapy. Obviously, it's already stated that it's ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, which is not therapy. A human needs to be cared for their health by the doctor or psychiatrist. If that's not in their best interest, the patient health, they cannot make their paycheck. Under God, they swore an oath to God to help the health. Mental patients especially have brain injuries or brain health concerns that are serious and need to be treated with respect as human. And mostly counseling is beneficial, proper meals, happy environments, and for human to exercise and go out in the sun with vitamin D, vitamin K, enough amino acids, B complex, vitamin C, and a human to be healthy and to have a healthy, happy life. That is what most people need. Depression, to think happy thoughts, and all this what I just stated. A human and most of the brain need proper supplements. Tryptophan can be found in turkey, makes humans happy in many ways, and helps is a precursor to make serotonin, makes humans happy. In the brain, neurotransmitters is one of the examples of humans that need food. With proper nutrients, a happy life, thinking proper thoughts, counseling to assist with this, proper cognitive behavioral therapy, counseling with a human caring doctor, psychiatrist, provide the proper supplements, B vitamins, a lot of them help the brain and metabolism and physical health. Potassium helps the heart and the brain in many ways. Mental health patients, and exercise, proper circulation, oxygen. These are the main things: low fat diet, low gluten, eat whole grains, not white flour containing products, have enough calcium, vitamin D from sun, and the rest of it is all based on human diet, enough proper electrolytes. And amino acids are broken down from proteins. They are the building blocks of life, these little amino acids. Can be found a lot of them in as many nuts if human doesn't have any allergies. To be consumed as snacks, very healthy throughout the day. The proteins break down to amino acids and help make all the little transmitters, neurotransmitters, all the little in the brain that help human proper brain function and million other cells in the body. This is what humans need: proper health, as I stated, exercise, diet, supplements, some is needed, and a happy life. This all that human needs prescribed by a medically competent, caring medical doctor, psychiatrist, nurses. If a human doctor and our psychiatrist is pushing ECT, tell them you reject this and walk away. They clearly don't have any human mental and brain physical health proper intent to maintain. They already misassessed this as you as a patient, disrespected you and with the intent of having a patient to write a prescription for ECT. They clearly don't have your best interest of your health, brain, and physical health in mind, and they know ECT is illegal, especially given against freedom of choice if human doesn't choose, and are already pushing something that is not beneficial to brain or physical health in any way. It is never a cure. It causes more harm and side effects for life. And a human, obviously, as I stated, to remember, keep in mind, cannot have a job, they're disabled, they're homeless, they cannot work. When a brain damage, memory damage, they cannot work. Every day and night in Canada, especially our states, is cold, other countries too warm, and they cannot afford a shelter. Will freeze to death with not enough disability in almost every country. There's a 10-year waiting list in Canada alone for disabled mental people with mental health problems, brain injuries, and can't remember things. Most victims of medical negligence, such as myself, that didn't have to be this way if these doctors weren't hired. The colleges, then it took almost a year, and I couldn't find a doctor or psychiatrist that was credible even over years to help me working there in Toronto. Even sought second or third opinions, which everyone should do. Find a doctor you trust. You have to tell the doctor what your symptoms are. If they think they're stating schizophrenia, as I stated, or psychosis, mania, which are general terms, tell them specifically, tell me what part of the brain is affected, that I have a brain disorder. What are the symptoms you're trying to treat me with a ECT or dangerous antipsychotics? Those are all dangerous. Separately, I was affected by it for over 20 years illegally. I know the side effects is not beneficial to anyone. Clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, polyperidone, Abilify especially causes severe thinking brain damage. Avoid these at all costs. I choose them, got rid of from the market. Keep in mind, FDA is illegally approving these for years in a huge market going along with pharmaceutical companies. 100 million people given these illegally most and knocked those over sedated, don't need it all, and have damaged brain memory and thinking abilities for life, cannot work, cannot have a job, are on a disability, which is no money to live, are begging on the street for food, even mental health wards, and have no way to live, and lost their driver's license because they're on these antipsychotics or ECT give them. They no way to sue. The doctors get away and still working there. They make the $1 million. It's not a saying, it's true. Live their luxury warm vehicles with the patients they see every 1 or 2 weeks, randomly prescribe the antipsychotics or ECT, and say, how's your mood? And leave, and say, I'll see you in 2 weeks, a week, or month. And a human can't afford anything, essentially has the clothes on their back for life. They have no money, beg on the street for food, and they are homeless, and there's no housing. And a human is disabled left, and they live on the street. And a brain damage needs someone to care where to live a respected human life, a warm house out of the cold, so no frostbite, food to eat, calories to be warm, as the brain needs more supplements, but have no money for food. And this goes on in Canada, affects myself and 100 million people in the world. That's why I made this video, to inform people about ECT, and made other ones about the other terms to get rid of in the world: schizophrenia, psychosis, mania, general terms many wrongly admitted to mental wards don't have to be. To get rid of these dangerous antipsychotics and other ones human know of are clearly still online stated there. To even get rid of those, these cannot be given. They're illegally approved by FDA. I know I live the side effects. I have millions of patient records to prove it. And I lived through the side effects. Intelligent human fought against these, but no lawyer to get out of it. ANGELIKA, JAKIELA, I'm a victim of serious medical negligence, of dangerous antipsychotics, benzodiazepines, and ECT. And whoever's listening, please get this to doctors, psychiatrists in the world, the ones that care. Get rid of these terms that I stated. Change ECT, so get rid of the therapy, to miswording part of it. Electroconvulsive therapy. It is not therapy, ever. No. Someone please do something about it. But even electroconvulsive torture. Then the humans are not misinformed. That is therapy. It is not therapeutic. It obviously bodily harms before, during, and after the procedure. It is not beneficial, and a human's life, quality of life rather, is disrespected. A human has poor quality of life after. They're obviously disabled. With brain damage, cannot work. They cannot remember anything. They cannot have children to take care of them due to side effects. They have no joint life. They cannot exercise, obviously. They're disabled. And they can't work to have a home ever. They cannot work to make money for clothes, for food, and have to live brain damage, memory, which is the worst. I couldn't even remember what my him and I knew boyfriend or family's name that I talked to all the time, and I couldn't remember when I woke up, severely hungry, starving, dehydrated beyond means, in a different room. Don't even tell me that they're gonna put me in a wake up in a different room. Human doesn't know after knocked out cold which room they were in, and then wake up in a different one. And I'm basically given a cookie after, need a whole nutritious meal. Supplements only as needed after, when it wears off, general anesthesia, when safe to do. And a human, if given this, and needs someone that they know their name to drive them there and back to a home, or if they're in a mental facility, and a nurse that knows them specifically to help them after when their brain memory damaged, crippled, disabled for life, to help them almost all the time, to know about their life, their personality, what they know about them when their memory damaged, to help them. Humans can't remember almost anything. What they learn, basically, and especially recent memories, and memories about the family members and others when the brain is damaged. Seizure caused and memory severely damaged. Doesn't help any chemical imbalance in brain. Doesn't help any neurotransmitters be helped made better amounts or anything in the brain ever, when a human, as I stated, obviously doesn't have enough to begin with after fasting. The brain is endangered more. It is harmed more because it doesn't have any of these essential first amino acid neurotransmitters enough to handle it. To have electrical current pass through a human brain with not enough water in the blood, in the brain, and not enough sodium and chloride in nervous system, potassium, essential electrolytes, not enough amino acids in the brain that are made up of these neurotransmitters in themselves, these chemical, the chemicals in the brain, chemical transmitters, neurotransmitters. These ones all made up of amino acids, not given a human doesn't have while fasting, and then not enough bloodstream and not enough in the brain to begin with. So how can this be levels of these fixed in the brain by any electrical current, which requires already to be passed through a human brain, would have to be a human well fed and well rested, and a certain amount of current passed, a minute one maybe, to a human brain with is well rested, as stated, with proper amounts already healthy brain of a healthy amount of dopamine, serotonin, the chemical transmitters, and other parts of the brain with enough nutrients and glucose, potassium to begin with. When a human is already fasting and shivering and not enough sleep tired, and the temperature too cold, and not enough of these electrolytes, proteins, amino acid, neurotransmitters to begin with, not enough fluids, water, and to the heart to beat potassium into the brain, and the sodium chloride ion channels, and the nervous system as well, and brain, then obviously electrical current cannot be passed through a human brain, because this severely damages the brain when it's not enough to begin with. While fasting, this is illegal brain torture. This is illegal, unethical disrespect of a human life, of a human alive brain in many ways, and a physical human being that has a soul, a brain, a mind, a personality, a human life that has other loved ones, humans, children, animals, is a living human being, has dignity of God within them to be respected in all these ways, and is disrespected a human life, to be put through a dangerous procedure, ECT, before fasting, knocked out, veinepuncture, endangers the vein, is harmed, could be open wound dangerous more to some humans than others, could be harmful, human have wrong clotting after there and harm of a damaged vein for life, wrongly affects circulatory system, humans' hearts are damaged, there's not enough potassium to beat in the first place after fasting, not enough glucose. This procedure is harmful to human main brain, circulatory system, the nervous system, muscles. This is a human essentially knocked out unconscious with no nutrients, electrocuted with sub-nutrient levels, sub-electrolyte levels, sub-fluid levels that are below normal human levels to begin with, and harm severely almost dehydrated brain. Physically, with not enough nutrients and fluids and amino acids for this current to pass through human brain. This is severely hazardous to human brain and physical health. I have never heard one doctor or psychiatrist explain this to me in this way, and I've never seen, and I looked on different videos, YouTube many, online websites of different major clinics, Mayo Clinic, the one in Australia, there's other ones in Ontario, main ones in the States. ECT, they're termed clinics. There's a new temerity department in the CAMH in Toronto that I know of, was the previous ECT clinic. There's a 10 medically negligent staff working in each one of all medical fields, studied approximately 4 years to help human health. And then they wrongly prescribe and go along with the psychiatrists that prescribe ECT. And doctors, and each of them all work this smiling and know they go along with it. Humans are fighting against this, but don't have the medical lawyers they can afford, obviously disabled, to get out of these situations. Then live on disability, which as stated is few dollars when a brain damage because of it. The province funded these doctors that hired the colleges that hired the doctors rather and staff. The medical boards members that are doctors, psychiatrists illegally working there, making money under God sworn to help human health but are not. Then hired the other staff working in these ECT clinics and wrongly went along with them. I speak true, I have medical records to prove it. It's all recorded. And I have no money to live while they lived in luxury for years. I don't know how they live with themselves. I don't know, I've seen the people, I can't see these, look at these videos anymore. These people on ECT clinics have informing people but leaving out these serious details of how harmful it is to human health and smiling. And keep in mind, on the doctors looking and talking to you, psychiatrists, about ECT or other dangerous antipsychotics. Keep in mind, if they don't figure out to tell you and you tell them what your symptoms are, brain-specific health, to refer if needed a proper statement, a brain scan if needed to prove it. If you don't have specific symptoms, then keep in mind, if a doctor or psychiatrist cannot look you in the eye while smiling and trying to prescribe or force you to put you on a form in mental ward to get you SDM, substitute decision makers that, keep in mind, have to make a decision based that you would make best interest in your health, brain, physical health. If they don't sign papers. There's doctors that wrongly put these humans that are not educated as substitute decision makers, and once done, it's hard, it can't get out. They wrongly make decisions, even not educated, maybe not even on purpose, and for treatment, which is not treatment, is illegal human torture. As I was put wrongly against freedom of choice, and there's not in any way to get out unless I have a medical lawyer, which is I am obviously disabled and couldn't get one and no money to afford one. So everyone, be cautious, care for your health. Remember, you live a happy life. Dopamine imbalance of this state can easily be fixed in the brain. There is no actual medical way to scan to prove a human has dopamine imbalance. A lot of psychiatrists medically negligent one state that a human might have dopamine imbalance. This is not medically, as I stated anyway, to prove this. There is no scan for this. Essentially, if a human has a dopamine imbalance, that means then they have to rest more, sleep, be well fed with nutritious food, avoid too many sugars, avoid fats, avoid white types of flour substances, bread, pasta, eat whole grains, leafy green vegetables with enough vitamins, nutrients, have enough electrolytes, enough proteins. Proteins are the ones break down, as stated, to amino acids. These ones are building blocks of life. They make the little neuro and chemical transmitters in brain. They help the amount of dopamine in brain affect the physicality and serotonin. Tryptophan has lots of protein and precursor for serotonin. Makes a human happy in many ways, in physical health as well, and has protein meat. A human can ingest these and have a happy life, help others happy that way, to in their thoughts, to think and be happy, and to exercise. Having a vitamin D helps mental and immune system health in many ways, physical health, bone health. Vitamin C, antioxidants, help, and potassium, vitamin K for the brain, heart. Calcium helps bind vitamin D. Magnesium, taurine go along with this, help absorption. Proper health, vitamin D from the sun when needed. A healthy life with exercise. That is all human needs in a happy life. To have a job, to do what they choose, have a healthy brain. Memory, to have good company, children when they choose, pets, have good company of friends, caring caregivers if they need. This is what humans need for proper brain, mental health, proper physical health. The psychiatrists and doctors, medical ones, most that were medically negligent, and there's other staff go along with nursing staff, is over 100 and working still, unfortunately, in CAMH, Toronto, well known, and Mount Sinai Hospital. To be avoided, those places entirely. They don't counsel any patients about this further health and wrongly wrote prescription pushing pills or ECT. I am a victim along with many other millions and other people in the world like this. This is illegal human torture. These humans don't want to go through this. Keep in mind, doctors, psychiatrists. So don't put other humans through this either. So keep in mind, again, I'm stating, please share the video to all. There is a lot of misinformation, unfortunately, and a lot of information left out about ECT. They're still smiling in the videos. Ignore it. Don't watch ECT videos with these doctors smiling during procedure like that are obviously medically negligent. Don't have the health and brain physical health in mind proper of a patient, of a human life. I know which ones I can tell right away. They never look a human in the eye when they're writing the prescription ECT but smiling because they know they're morally doing wrong. Anyone that knows these help online, get rid of these videos entirely. YouTube and other ones. There are unfortunately people under there looking there. A lot of people have been misinformed, unfortunately, for over 60 to 100 years about depression. This is the main one. People being prescribed ECT for depression. As I stated throughout this video, it is not beneficial with a human fasting, with not enough fluids, electrolytes, and proteins and the rest for a human to go through ECT will damage the brain more and essentially most likely cause more reason for human to be depressed, damage the whatever left of the human neurotransmitter in brain after fasting, and harm cause more bodily harm brain, and a human fear for life have more stresses on physicality. A human has more memory damage, no children, side effects, be sad in that way. A human has a lost loved one memory of them. They cannot work, have less joy in life that way. The human is more depressed after they go through this dangerous procedure and have memory damage, disabled, and cannot work, have less joy in life as well. And have damaged memory, disabled for life, potentially live in the cold, more stressful situations for life every day and cannot work, cannot drive, and have no joy and happiness in life and disabled for life. Obviously, it is not a cure for depression. It is not therapeutic. It is not therapy. ECT is not therapy. It does not help humans with depression in any way. It endangers their life more and causes more depression, essentially. So it is to be avoided. I speak truth from the heart. I'm educated. I looked every part of the brain up, neurobiology. I lived through side effects. I don't have depression myself, but I took the time and looked up other recent research, the main ones in the world. I am medical lab research into. I did the research on every part brain, what is potentially what the causes that are for depression, what part of the brains they affect, what the ECT actually does. There is no benefit for ECT to be given to a human with depression or any forms of it. No, so humans acting on there are actresses on these videos that stated they were helped with depression. This is a lie. No human is helped with depression with going through ECT. There is no human alive that is helped in any way going through ECT. Please keep this in mind, avoid it at all costs. Help humans have to do act to get rid of this in the world after 100 years. These other people wrongly, I don't want this to happen to anyone. These clinics need to be closed, but take humans to file complaints. If you have money, resources, get the medical negligence lawyers, put these humans in prison. All the 10 staff working in each clinic. Inform them, call them as much as needed. The college is employing them. They hire them, they have the license, or under God, they're obligated to make sure they have proper staff hired. If they don't, they cannot make the paycheck, have to give it back. Then they're accomplices to illegal human torture, bodily harm of brain, mind. They are doing disrespecting ethics, the respect of human dignity. Every human have God a value with him as a human life to be healthy, respect the health care, physical, mental health. They are disrespecting these medically negligent doctors, psychiatrists, nurses, registered nurses, practical nurses, physiologists, medical secretaries, neurospecialists, brain specialists. The board members above them are medical staff. They made the $1 million for years, some went on vacation, luxury warm vehicles, homes, while the patient frees brain damage, no funding in each province and country and world for disability enough to fund them to live in a warm house after. Their paychecks need taken away. Humans that have credible jobs need to help. The disabled wrong this way. Colleges are not doing anything. Maybe look into it, and it's beyond disgraceful. After a whole year, they're still investigating. Where they could wrong my life for 20 years. A list of 100 medically negligent doctors, half psychiatrists, and half nursing staff went along, and other pharmacists. In these markets, clozapine, as I stated in other videos, please watch and help get rid of this in the world. I don't want anyone to be brain damaged, live through this, as I stated, this whole procedure, before, during, after. And then have no life after. The laws humans lost studied as children, elementary, high school, universities, colleges. Then they have their driver's license. They work hard. Humans to pay money, poor, mostly in Canada, States, everywhere. Work hard to accomplish, then taken away. Brain memory damage in this cold Canada States almost all year. They're freezing to death on the street begging with brain damage memory. No one to help them, can't remember anything. Other side effects had humans have muscle damage, nerve damage, can't walk, barely walk, stand, put on the street because of medically negligent staff. And then ACT given, and for what? And then they're not helped in any way at all. Anyone have more brain damage than they had begin with, and no food. And keep in mind, it's true. A human goes out in this freezing frostbite in 2 seconds of nerve damage in the human health and can heal themselves, and brain damage, but have to live, and no money, and only the clothes on their back. More funding needs to be gone and put into. The doctors taking away their license, what money they made, would in prison as well. I could win a medical negligence lawsuit and sue for $100 million in money that I could have made for years myself, but couldn't, when they legally wronged me for 2 decades. But I couldn't sue them, and they're not in prison. But have to be. They're humans sign papers for legal human torture, suffering human on earth. Had no children because of, could easily win, but I have no money for the court fees. $30,000 approximately for 1 day. And to go there and to put them in prison with medical negligence lawyers, which are the only ones that are not funded when a human's left disabled because of medically negligent staff in Canada, Ontario, and other parts of the world. And those staff that are $1 million would, if put in prison, would have to and take they give back the money they made that when they harmed me for the sum over 20 years, the $20 million, give it back either to me or to the college, and would have to morally do right and give it to funding for those they wrong, so I have money to live. A normal house, which costs thousands for 1 month alone, just the building, save over years, could takes in Canada now. A building basic one is $1 million. Just the building without electricity could have saved money for retirement children all the years took to school. I have nothing because of them. I cannot sue them because I can't afford a lawyer, and they're not in prison. And the colleges are getting away with, they're making money too. Didn't take away the license right away. Other humans were still harmed because of these staff in Toronto mainly, well known in the world. Downtown, CAMH still working illegally, 100 staff, board members, all going along with it. Head clinical scientists, researchers wrongly pushing ECT. This is the change the name, not even, I don't know why. There's medical staff and rule know that this is obviously not therapy. The FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, knows that this cannot be given to humans, no benefit to health, but is approving it. And the other dangerous antipsychotics like choose clearly are have enough research for years on patients, illegal or not, to clearly prove that they're not beneficial to any human brain, mental health at all. In any way, if a human has a mental health disorder, they harm it more. They never cure anything. ECT is not a cure in any way. So please, anyone who knows someone, hear about ECT, help get rid of it in any possible way. Keep filing complaints, phone the clinic, say you can't do this. Be safe. Avoid any doctor psychiatrist that never look you in the eye when they're supposed to care for your health. Assess your brain and mental health first. Avoid mental clinics. Avoid emergency rooms such as CAMH that already, as with the CAMH is the Center for Addiction Mental Health in Toronto. All the staff went along. I was wrongly admitted, and I know. And I can't even, a rights advisor cannot even get a human out, and I didn't even have to be there for 3 days. Need a lawyer. It's all money based. A human can't obviously afford a medical lawyer for that. And then to sue them, well, keep in there with no food for 3 days while they wait for assess a brain or medical concern. They could easily let me go with medical concern and leave, but did not. And it doesn't even pay off for human to sue, but right to do. But they're working there, still making the $1 million. So I'm telling everyone to avoid these places. If you care about mental health concern, basic one, seek advice from GP, maybe the nutritionist. Eat a healthy diet, exercise, be happy. Starts with thinking, especially people with depression. Think in the present to be happy. Find out that there's a lot of already research been done, easily found online. The major nutrients humans need, what to avoid. Live a happy life, be in good company. Keep in mind, as I stated, dopamine could easily be levels rebalanced in the human. Don't need any antipsychotics. Don't need any ECT ever. They never help any brain imbalance of dopamine ever. They harm it more. And the other physical health endanger human lives and then shorten life expectancy by 10 to 15 years if taken for a long time. No human wants to die sooner than they have to. No one wants to lose a loved one. No one wants to have an ECT given and can't remember their family members, children, dogs' names. Avoid it at all costs. Especially depression, I stated, because there's 1 million people that's wrongly been given to people with depression. And the most humans have a more depressed life, as I stated, because they harm more, and they're more depressed because they can't have a job after because they're disabled. They end up more depressed than when they started before going through ECT, and harm more and disabled as well. And memory severe. There's some cognitive impairment. There's not enough nutrients, not enough blood flow with the water and to the brain, and the human is harmed illegally, unconscious while harmed. either unilateral ECT, one side of the brain, or bilateral, two sides. This is a big current passed through a human live brain. There's no human in itself would want to even hear about this, but people live through it. I don't know who this will be got rid of and never allowed in the world at all. But they're still going along with it. Many medically negligent staff have to be stopped, takes human action, especially other doctors, psychiatrists, and boards that have to do their job. The governing colleges still employing these in the world. They're making money under God. They don't get away with under God. The sins even under Jesus to respect and morally do right to help another human brain health and to never give ECT prescribed at all, but are doing. They cannot disrespect human dignity, a value of a human life this way. Brain physical health. Religious or not, they all belong to God, have a respect as a human to be respect all time their brain physical health to be assessed properly. By medical staff, all of them, all fields, especially psychiatrists that deal with this. Brain is most important because it controls most all of human brain and bodily functions all the time. A human cannot have a psychiatrist working in rule prescribing ECT, and there's still hundreds in the world. It doesn't benefit anyone they know, and these humans need to put in prison. They are fined with imprisonment for causing bodily harm. Illegally harm human doesn't choose brain and physical health. And the other staff that go along with it. And the board members, there's hundreds of those. And the college is employing them with the legal doctor, medical, and psychiatric doctor licenses. Then the colleges of nurses, Ontario and Canada, College of Physicians, Surgeons, Ontario. They're illegally employing millions of staff, hundreds in Toronto alone. And they're not making money while I suffered and investigate took almost a year and still not done. Were they supposed to look in right away, say they harmed me, and then take away the license? Give me money when I can't afford a lawyer because they harm me. But they don't give any funding money to the disabled victims either. But they made $1 million, 100,000 to $1 million paycheck a year for years. Well, I was harmed. Could have did my university use that I paid as a child $40,000 to use to do actual research in all fields to help all humans, animals, to provide cures, vaccines for over 2 decades, but couldn't because they harmed my brain illegally. And physical health, I couldn't have a child for 20 years due to side effects, brain severe memory damage, no money to live, and could have saved money for home in Canada's cold to live and for retirement and have nothing. And I have no money for food, no happiness in life, but I didn't deserve this. They know this, and they made money illegally, and they want to stop this in the world. Everyone, avoid ECT. Change the name, whoever has high jobs, titles, get rid of it. This is clearly not therapy. Electroconvulsive therapy, change, if anything, to electroconvulsive torture. Then at least humans know right away, avoid it. And there are other brain procedures, but I didn't get the chance to look into these. But other medical staff that are working could take the seconds and look into these and clearly know already that it cannot be done to humans to help and do the right thing. They do swear oath to God to help to make their paycheck only if they human help health. In their job description have resources to do and to make sure other people as well, doctors, psychiatrists, if they do wrong to turn them in. But they're not doing. To the pharmaceutical companies, they have these doctors, psychiatrists, the college is employing them, have the resources, phone numbers, contact numbers to these pharmaceutical companies illegally pushing antipsychotics like clozapine, huge market. Pharmacists go along with this. This is harmful to many ways to life, never cure, and people who are sedated and disabled never quality good life of it. And illegally given this in many million mental wards don't need in world and poor begging on street. With no home and happy, kind-hearted humans don't deserve. Olanzapine 2, risperidone, paliperidone. These are the ones I know and was a victim of and a woman didn't need, so I know the side effects. I've seen all. I've seen the wards, non-nutritious food, people given these illegally. overdose, so they knocked out cold, sleeping for hours. The staff mention how's your mood and leave, write prescription, illegal torture for these. And then the colleges go along, they make the money, then they have to do the right thing. If they're not hiring proper staff and they're not doing their job to find proper doctors, psychiatrists, funding, for not giving proper nutritious advice, then they have to fire them. And they turn themselves into prison and give back their paycheck. Under God and all laws in the world know this. All job titles know this. And they turn themselves into prison. They harmed human lives and health illegally. It's human torture. And I told this, please see and spread other videos so this is corrected in the world finally, after hundreds of years. It takes action on those who care and have the job resource, phone contact numbers to do. I don't, obviously. I make the money and I define every lawyer I can, but I'm a disabled, clearly brain damage didn't need, and I can't afford any lawyers for these purposes. So it takes even these head governments that are their job to make sure they hire proper colleges, that hire proper doctor staff, could easily call and contact the pharmaceutical company and get rid of clozapine all years already, but didn't. They're wrongly going along with this. The other humans being million patients harmed illegally, living on street, brain damage because of it. No jobs, disrespect their health, are homeless, don't provide funding for disability after, don't provide funding for medical lawyers. And then they're making their millions, and the whole humanity suffering under them cannot go on, is never allowed. Their job description, the prime minister, the president, the pope, are sworn under God. They have jobs, know the laws, to help and respect all humans under them and all they employ, to have proper medical staff, make sure the ECT is gone from world, never prescribed at all. They could easily and have resources for years to do, none of them did. Many prime ministers, president of the United States, all of them for years. Currently, Justin Trudeau, the president, Biden, all the secretary staff under him, all the other ones. And in Canada, there's the different provinces, all these governing bodies have under each province medically negligent the colleges that employ these staff, hiring ECT clinics, 10 workers, make it to 200, 400,000 to $1 million a year, wrongly harming people, sign papers and leave, prescriptions and leave for illegal human torture, ECT. And those people disabled, can't afford anywhere to live, is obviously cold in Canada most year in States, and freezing on street with no food, no clothing, barely on the back for 10 years is true. And then no resources there put on the street housing to keep them even out of the cold. But they found other things like police and cruisers driving around, but no put into care for human proper medical care. Don't put away psychiatrists. They're obviously paying $1 million to them. Could have put the money for those people to have a home to live out of the cold even. For food, disability, nothing. For over 100 years. It is their job of research to do. They're accomplices to millions of lives lost, suffering, illegal human torture. Have to turn themselves in, put their paychecks legally under God, no, the laws themselves. They couldn't be employed if they're not going to help all human health and hire proper staff to avoid ECT, to make sure the FDA, Federal Drug Administration, stop approving ECT, stop approving clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, polyperidone. These are not beneficial to brain health in any way, cures at all. These are illegal human torture, big markets. The pharmaceutical companies, as I said, pushing these. And for in the whole world for years, there's enough research proving that these humans cannot or given this even wrong. Suffering, disabled, homeless, no shelter money given to them. While these governing bodies and then the provinces under them, secretaries under the president, the other government under bodies and provinces in Canada, the colleges under the employing made the money, hiring the wrong staff, pushing these. Clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, polyperidone, dangerous antipsychotics, first generation ones, second generation ones, benzodiazepines. These are the ones I affected. I know there's many others. They obviously in job descriptions online have to be taken down. These are not informing any human what they actually for. These are basically writing that they They assist with the chemical or in the balance in brain. This is every one of these online have to be corrected. There's all medical psychiatric staff in the world. None of did anything for 100 years as well. They are morally obligated in regard to fix to help humans save life health. Never did either. And all the millions patients are misinformed. Keep in mind the doctor's ECT mentioning basic things online, informing about ECT. If they're mentioning anything else that is beneficial to any schizophrenia, mania, psychosis, as stated general term, avoid them. Tell them to correct it. It takes action, and you save there's a million viewers. You save their lives from suffering. What I stated all before, during, after the procedure. Being wrongly assessed by, and people admitted to mental wards don't need to be, especially as medical concern had a serious one and required a medical ward, heart specialist, not put in a mental ward because the doctor previous one put on schizophrenia on the paper patient file, which I didn't even have, is a general term. And ECT wrongly prescribed for a human that clearly had no brain mental concern and had a medical one that required me never to go through ECT, but they endangered my life and forced illegally me to go through it. Keep in mind, if a human is illegally put on forms, these medically negligent staff, a human, if this is a human, if they don't go through the procedure but walk there when put on the form, then they will call the police to take the human to the procedure because the doctor put them on the form. And if they had a human not educated, as they found, substitute decision maker, then they're not in the human's best interest, but had to for some reason, and put them for this treatment, which is not treatment, it's torture, ECT, as myself, and are driven there. If I don't go there, show up by myself, then I would be taken by police to the ECT and forced to go through the procedure because the doctor signed the forms illegally. And no human fear for life wants to go through this, and a woman. Then I walk there on the forms by free will choice because don't want to go there, but I go there because I don't want to be taken by police. And mental wards don't want security. Two muscle men coming there to walk them to a procedure they clearly don't need and have a brain electrocute alive. Electrical current passed through noctical with no nutrients and a memory damage after. Brain disabled, damaged memory for life. With no job, no children after. Can remember the loved ones. And then poor disabled for life. This causes strain to the human life, and the ones they keep in mind, other humans have lives and parents, children too affected. No one wants to hear about ECT. Please, anyone in the world who has credible jobs that care, there are many that do care, do act. You have the resources, you're more obligated in your job description to do. Contact others if these bioethics boards clearly aren't doing their job. File complaints. You have the resources. You are more educated at high level in these matters to deal with. Find lawyers. Get rid of these people. This starts from the head, the governing bodies. They're not doing the jobs. Under God, they hire people under them, not doing their jobs to care for human health, life, housing, proper disability funding. As I stated, in Ontario, there's a 10-year waiting list for people disability housing, and that even is barely a room. With not enough proper food for food disability is nothing. A human on disability money is given $200 in Ontario, Canada, and Canadian funds to 1,000 barely. And that is a hotel room in itself. Costs $250 a night, basic one with just a bed and washroom with no food, and that has to last for 30 days a night just to keep out of the cold a human that's brain damaged, disabled, and cannot work for food or anything, and has a one night to last, maybe 2-3 nights in a hotel room with a food barely, but that has to last for 30 days and nights, and it doesn't. Then the rest of the 27 days and nights, a human is on the street, freezing with no food, no money for clothing, brain damage, and cannot be mistreated this way. So everyone, avoid ECT. You will lose your memory, your life, education you only learned, memory severely is damaged. Recent memories, previous memories in life, damaged. Memory loss. For life, some humans all their life can't remember their loved one, husband, or children's names. They obviously harm more depressed, cannot work ever, cannot get a home. There's not enough disability money anywhere in the world, not enough housing at all. That it respects a human being to have a warm building, even paid hotel room for these people every night, are nice ones, even warm. They provide food there. A basic, even human to live, a nice washroom, bed, and a microwave, a small room. These ones are not even provide money enough for any human to stay out of the cold in these after they were most illegally misdiagnosed with a general term and then given ECT. Children lost their lives, suffering still on street. Old people. No food, begging for food. Nutrients they need could have been avoided. Hundreds of thousands of people over 100 years from ECT alone not being prescribed. It still goes on in the world. This needs to be stopped. A human even given once clearly doesn't need. Some people unfortunately given every week. Put to sleep, no nutrients, no, and given the next week. Then I push it over time to 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, some every 4, some stop finally. I pushed the issue I didn't need it all. It took over a year. If I had a medical negligence lawyer, which I couldn't afford, but if I had one, would get out of it. Would I don't need to go through it all. Everyone, please avoid ECT. Tell everyone this, share it to all. Protect this video, share it to all. I'm a victim of a serious medical negligence of this. I don't want this to happen to anyone. I'm the only human that speaks truth about this online that I've seen, and the doctors and psychiatrists clearly are somehow still pushing ECT. There's many videos online. Please avoid. They are smiling, but you can clearly tell this is not a procedure for any human to go through. It is not beneficial to human brain or physical health in any way, before, during, or after the procedure. Illegal human torture. Disrespect of human life. Human quality of life is not improved, it gets worse. No money to live, disabled, poor. Lose loved ones, memories of them, for life crying. Cannot remember almost anything. Other nerve damage, physical health, muscle damage, heart. Doesn't help depression in any way. Whoever says this is lying. They're acting. Keep in mind, there's millions of actors online. This is beyond wrong to misinform people so they make the paychecks. This ECT especially needs gone from the world. Long time, years already. They all know, but no one did anything to get rid of it. So everyone do your part. Avoid ECT. Avoid mental clinics as stated. Emergency rooms are caught unless needed is emergency. Make sure doctor cares. If you see something fishy in a sense, the doctor not have your best health or physical health in mind, walk away. File a complaint with the college that hires them. Something has to be done. Get a second opinion always with another doctor, even a different facility. Avoid CAMH all times. Avoid Mount Sinai Hospital till rectified all times. These don't have any best interest of patients at all, especially the psychiatrists ones I dealt with. The doctors, high level one board members still working there. They already wronged. I've seen patients, some working, they're still wrongly affiliated with U of T. Department psychiatry and a job is another paycheck there. Hopefully not misinforming students. Hopefully not teaching them any wrong. They work there for over 20 years and still over 24 years. Need to be stopped. Put in prison, their money paycheck technically given over 24 years what they made to the victims, and help funding put nutritious food to the mental wards and other housing for humans to live in the normal houses they deserve, warm, could have made themselves. And good quality life when already harmed, to have a disabled and caring staff, volunteers to help paid for easily. And this would rectify everything for these kind-hearted humans that don't deserve children, women, men, old people, wrongly wronged by ECT. Dangerous antipsychotics clearly don't need to be given to them at all ever. They're not beneficial anyway. All the doctors know. All psychiatrists know. Even the ones that do right never did anything to stop this. They could easily do. Under God, morally obligated to do. No one gets away under God or judges in soul, brain, mind, thought always. Please avoid ECT. It is torture, unethical, immoral, disrespects human dignity, a value of a human life everyone to be respected has. It is not beneficial to health, mental, brain, physical health. Again, pregnant women avoid ECT at all costs. Never will help you. Don't believe in the doctors. You're gonna have a brain past electric current fasting. Obviously doesn't help any infant in your womb. And you will be harmed, might not remember anything, damaged brain. People with depression avoid ECT at all costs. Don't listen to anyone. If they tell you ECT will help you, tell them you're filing a complaint, walk away. Catatonic. No one's catatonic. This term in itself is taken away. These all the psychiatric terms need change for years, but no one did anything about it. All medically competent, proper doctors, psychiatrists know, but they also didn't do anything. Hundreds of years. They make the $1 million. This is beyond wrong. Governing colleges. They are under God to have to help human health. They study 4 years. All nursing staff. I don't believe how they still live with their lives. They do actually is hard studies and learn specifically to help human health. Neurosurgeons, medical board members, their job description. They study 4 long years to help human health. And then they use the money to make paycheck and harm humans. Wrongly prescribed so they make the $1 million. Put a stop to this, any human that can. All caring staff in the world. This is truth I speak. The action needs taken right away. I wronged and earth. Something proper has to result from it. I didn't deserve any of it, and the millions don't, especially children. Old people, please take the seconds. Get rid of these things that doctors can easily do. Have resources. Contact whoever runs these PubMed journals. Look them over. Psychiatric on millions. Fix the misinformation. Bioethics boards, do your job. World Health Organization, do your job. You make the millions. You barely help anyone. There's a million people under you, know your job. You're hiring an understaff under you, not respect any human's health. You care for your health. You don't want to elect your wrong medical staff. You have a house to live with money, but you're hiring people that aren't looking into colleges and medical boards. Canada, well-known states in Australia, and have people working ECT clinics, 10 medically negative staff. That's 10 times $1 million a year. You're paying humans to torture children. ECT wrongly given, misinformed about the helping depression. It doesn't help depression. Catatonic, obviously not. Schizophrenia is a general term. Psychosis, mania, general terms. This is not a specific brain disorder. There's no specific part of the brain even mentioned. These terms in themselves need gone from the world years. They do nothing. All humans kind of hard in the jobs at least care. Please, doctors, psychiatrists, you have the job. Further contact information, resources. Prime Minister, Pope, and the President, all countries, Australia, Canada, States, China, Japan, main countries in the world, England, France, stop ECT. Get your resources you have to the pharmaceutical companies. Get rid of illegal, all dangerous antipsychotics. You know they don't help anyone. Stop making money. Fire those leaders. Get rid of them entirely. Save human lives. You're supposed to do for 100 years. Stop making your paycheck if you don't. It's your job under God to do. If you don't, you are hiring illegal torturers. You're these accomplices to human lives lost and a human being disabled living on street because of you. Have a damaged brain, organs, cannot have children, no home warm to live, no money for years, and have to live brain damage because of illegal drugs and ECT. Has already been done for over 100 years. You did nothing to stop it. You have to turn your paycheck in, find someone who cares about all human and respect all humans and dignity of them. And to find restore order from top down, every level of employment, doctors, psychiatrists, councils employing them, medical head boards, bioethics boards, pharmaceutical companies, FDA, World Health Organization, the Pope, Prime Minister, and president, and all from all other countries, religious world leaders. You have the resources you have to do. If you don't, find someone who cares. Give them your paycheck, what it's for. Under God, do the right thing and restore order and health and safety and proper medical, psychiatric care for all. Proper housing, funding, use your paycheck you wrongly made, put it into the funding for these disabled victims, such as myself and hundreds, millions in the world, so they don't live in the cold as supposed to, so they have caring, actual, hire proper medical, psychiatric staff that will help these people and millions in the world as you're supposed to be doing. But you didn't, so hire someone who cares. Give them the money, their paycheck to actually human health, respect dignity, health of mental health, physical health, make sure there's no one disabled, care for all humanity, all lives, people, children, old people, disabled, all races, religions, all humans' dignity to valid have a right to live in warm, safe places with proper medical care, enough funding, not disabled, wrong by negligent staff, never need ECT, get rid of from the world, useless terms, endangered human million lives, wrongly admitted to mental wards, schizophrenia, psychosis, mania, other ones should be gone from world already. Get rid of ECT, close down clozapine, all markets, pharmaceutical companies going along with it. This huge market, millions wrong, lives lost, danger lost, 10 years life expectancy, begging on the street, damaged brain, cannot work, highly motivated humans in the world, kind-hearted of them all, choose to live life, have no way to live, are disabled, freezing on the street because of these. Well, they make the $1 million illegally torturing them. And they live in luxury while humans freeze in Canada. Unfortunately, our world is not a normal temperate climate, especially in Canada and States, and humans freezing and require a home to live, especially disabled. We can't. Everyone get rid of ECT in the world. Change the name even. Electroconvulsive therapy is obviously not therapy. Not beneficial to help therapy. It is electroconvulsive torture. Thank you for listening. Please do your part. Help immediately. Every second counts. I'm only one human. I don't have the resources I love to do. I don't need best what I can and made this video. The rest, please, whoever's in higher governing bodies, do the right thing when I speak. Share this to all higher level job titles as possible. Fix this immediately in the world. Stop illegal human torture. Don't believe any medical staff, psychiatrists that state that the ECT is beneficial to brain or physical health in any way. Put them in prison right away. I speak truth, a human medically studied, and life sciences of all kinds. Neurobiology, molecular and cellular biology, animal and human physiology, genetics, virology, bacteriology, all different things, science, physics, all types, all knowledge, and on religious side, ethics. I am humanitarian. ANGELIKA, JAKIELA, speak truth out of respect to save the health and lives of hundreds of millions of people. It takes, even online, people take the time, take your videos down, Stop misinforming people about ECT. Online, whoever is ECT clinics, you're not putting all the dangerous information about them. You put some basic ones, but you're leaving out serious information that patients need to consider. You don't specifically state what specific parts of the brain that it would actually help. You have general information, which is not beneficial. It doesn't help anyone. You're misinforming humans. They have lives in danger and will become poor. Keep in mind, homeless, disabled, brain damage for life, freeze on the street with no money, no disability money, no housing, and you cannot disrespect lives this way. Stop pushing ECT. Get rid of it in the world. Get rid of the term, and 100 million lives saved. You save your soul under God, and you morally do the right thing, and you can then make your paycheck when you care. If you don't, turn yourself in. If you're illegally harmed for ECT, go to prison. Don't harm any human lives. Respect those you did and find ways to help funding for them and others and help do your job. Contact the government, put the funding. They have the resources, easily $100 million. Help those people restore order, do what is morally right, and help everyone to have a proper home, safe place, proper medical care, caring staff, support the disabled, brain damage, or memory for life, not a second. All the life cannot work. Need a home, money provided for them, especially when they didn't choose, like myself, to be harmed. And a right to live happy, to have nice clothes. Could have made myself, but can't. A disabled, brain damage cannot work. And freezing cannot be left on the street in Canada. In the States, other countries, is too warm. Humans need proper care. Money to live, but can't work. And then they're left alone, and the funding not given to them. But they hired $1 million paid the staff in colleges to hire these doctors, give them $1 million to harm me. But not enough funding what is supposed to care for disabled and make sure not disabled in first place because of these staff. They don't put the money after for the medical negligence lawyers to put them in prison. This is the only one that's not funded. Medical negligence lawyers, financial aid. All other types of legal cases and lawyers are funded. But a human is too poor and can't afford to work to afford a lawyer, have funding for, but not medical negligence lawyers. And most humans are legally harmed, disabled, cannot afford a medical negligence lawyers, and these humans get away. All doctors, psychiatrists, medically negligent, pushing ECT, board members above them. The facilities themselves, keep in mind, can file complaints to sue. They're all still working, making the $1 million. Well-known countries in the world, unfortunately, has to be stopped. Please avoid ECT. In short, it's electroconvulsive torture, not therapy. Electroconvulsive in itself, pertains to an electrical current. Convulsive, when a human is knocked out under general anesthesia, it convulses. A human is shaken or twitch, convulse the muscles. It wrongly affects the nervous system and brain, especially after fasting. Doesn't human have enough to handle that in the first place? It is beyond harmful to human brain, physical health, and nervous system. The heart, and cannot be given to humans. Prescribed at all. And therapy. Therapy, the last part of electroconvulsive therapy, is therapy supposed to be pertaining to proper to human health, therapeutic, but is not. It is torture, bodily harm against human free of choice. When a human chooses to go through it, they are misinformed in first place. The humans that are already misinformed, these people, and humans choose to go through, should not go through this ECT. It is human choice, but there is no point to going through ECT. It's harmful to the brain and physical health, never improves depression, makes it worse in many, many ways. Catatonic, endangers a human life, cannot be given prescribed ECT. Pregnant women, avoid. Going to be pregnant one day, avoid. Never go through ECT. These are things that humans need to consider, and all ECT clinics that work there never really inform patients about this to begin with. Please watch this video and give it to anyone who needs this, and I'm sure 100 million people will gladly love to hear this. and save their lives from going through ECT and health. Thank you for listening.